Hello, I am Alessandro Furigni.
And I'm Joanna Swords.
And we're here in front of St. Peter's Square as part of the Fatima Center's Rapid Response Team in order to defend the rights of Christ the King and his own true church and to make reparation for a terrible desecration that is going to take place inside St. Peter's Basilica this next Monday on March 13th. Now, Joanna, the Fatima Center's Rapid Response Team went to Sweden last October in order to defend the faith and make reparation for the fact that the Pope went there to commemorate Luther. Now, how does this event next Monday compare to the one that occurred in Sweden last October?
As bad as that one was, Alex, Pope going to commemorate somebody who betrayed Christ and his one true church, Martin Luther, and that was very bad. This is even worse.
How come?
For a couple of reasons, actually. First of all, it's happening right here in the very heart of the Catholic Church. You couldn't be any closer. So, secondly, it's promoting interfaith prayer. Worship in common, which we've established yesterday, has always been forbidden by the Church. And this is encouraging it. And it also seems as if, because of the lack of publicity about this whole thing coming from the Church or any sort of Catholic publication, it seems as if they're trying to make it as though, it's just another day, which of course it's not. And we've already established that. And third, it's a public defilement. It's a desecration of the Catholic Church. Catholic churches are consecrated by a bishop for the purpose of offering the holy sacrifice of the Mass, doing sacred Catholic things. This is a public desecration that's going to take place with the Anglicans coming in. And public desecration, at the very least, public defilement, at the very least, calls for public reparation.
But then why do you think Catholics are not protesting about this desecration? And why are they not protesting, even with the event in Lund, when the Pope went there, and the Pope himself is attacking Catholic teaching about the marriage and divorce as happened in the two last synods?
That's right. Well, first of all, certainly traditional Catholic groups are speaking out, are making reparation, and you can see it on the websites. They're releasing and publicizing about what's going on, and then we have to do something about it. But secondly, Catholics have to know that these are even happening, as we just said. It's not being publicized, so do Catholics know that this is going to happen on Monday at St. Peter's Basilica? No, not likely, not many, for the most part. Same thing with Sweden. I don't know how well publicized it was. Certainly in Sweden it was well publicized, but in the Catholic world, I can say to you, I don't believe it was well publicized. So they have to know these things, and then lastly, they have to recognize that there's something wrong. Okay? They have to recognize that this is wrong, that it's forbidden, what's happening. You have to recognize it for the error that it is. For this is the thing that's about to happen is completely outside of Catholic teaching. And unfortunately, in order to recognize it, that means you have to know the Catholic faith, and that's a big problem today, because the greater majority of Catholics do not know the true Catholic faith, or do not know a lot of the true Catholic faith.
You mean they're not being told about Catholic?
That is correct. That is correct. The greater majority of Catholic children, unfortunately, after the Second Vatican Council, many of the catechisms that children were trained on for decades or centuries were so slowly being removed from Catholic schools, and they began teaching a more humanistic, Protestantized belief system. Unfortunately, and the parents did not know that this was happening. So here's young Catholic children, parents are paying money to send their children to school, believing they're being taught the Catholic faith like the parents had been taught when they were young, and completely unaware that the catechisms had been pulled or were being taken away, and that ever so slowly they were changing what they were teaching Catholic children about the faith. The same thing happened, this has happened over time, a very slow process, and the more time that's passed, the worse it's become. Same thing was happening in seminaries where young men go to be educated and trained for the priesthood. The itinerary was being changed for future priests as well. So the end result is you're now more than 50 years later, you have the greater majority of people who are calling themselves Catholic, unaware of what that really means. They don't know the Catholic faith. They don't know what it means to be Catholic, unfortunately. And that is how a why this Pope is able to get away with this. This is why he's able to get away with attacking basic Catholic teaching, and there's not this outcry. Although I will say there are some people who themselves, I think they're aware they don't know the faith as well as they ought to, and they're becoming aware, certainly with the phone calls we received at the Fatima Center, saying, what is going on? I'm hearing the Holy Father saying this about, you can get divorced and remarried now and go to communion. That doesn't sound right. So they get at least that much. They're just not quite sure how much of it's wrong or what to do about solving the problem.
That goes back to the message of Fatima.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're living through the third secret of Fatima, and what we are witnessing, if we recognize it, is the battle for the salvation of souls on a grand scale. If you compare the two in 1917, when Our Lady came to Fatima, the people back then, they knew the faith. They couldn't read. They knew the faith by word of mouth, by tradition. Okay. And they weren't exposed to the things we're exposed to today. There was only one mass to go to. There was no battle over two masses. There was no internet, no TV, no mass pornography, no mass immodesty in dress, no legalized abortion in the womb, no homosexual agenda. By our standards, those people were saints, but what the Mother of God actually said is that more of them were going to hell, and the reason is because though they knew the faith, they weren't living the faith. They weren't living the faith. So she came to warn us, even back then. That's 100 years ago, just about. We're almost to May now. So it's 100 years ago nearly that she warned the world of what was happening. And she came to give this important message to help people, to help, for their own, work toward their own salvation, and to help other souls. And in her mercy, she gave us 5 simple things to do. Certainly she knew what was going to come and happen in these times. So she gave 5 simple things for people to do in order to work toward their own salvation and to help with the salvation of others.
Do the people know what these 5 points are that Our Lady asked us?
Well, it's interesting because often when I ask the question, people who profess to know the message of Fatima, when we begin discussing the 5 things Our Lady asked, everybody immediately will say, oh, yes, pray the rosary every day. And they'll follow it up with the second thing, which is offer sacrifices for sinners. Those 2 things people have really learned well. Then it's a variation. Some people will mention the 5 first Saturdays. Some people will mention the brown scapula. But one thing that hardly ever gets mentioned at all is that they must amend their lives. They must lead truly Catholic lives. And in order to do that, you need to know the Catholic faith. So you have 2 problems here. One is knowing that Our Lady of Fatima asked us to do these 5 things, and the other problem is, how do you amend your life if you don't know the Catholic faith? You can't live the Catholic faith if you don't know it. Because Catholics have not heeded these 5 requests, doing what Our Lady of Fatima asked. That's why the Church has been in a crisis for more than 50 years. And it's why literally what we're enduring is a punishment. Okay? It's a punishment for not heeding the requests of Our Lady of Fatima, and especially in particular not amending our lives. And so the worst punishment that God gives, the absolute worst punishment, is bad pastors. And that's why we have this Pope here, who may possibly go down in history as the worst Pope in the history of the Church. He is certainly the delight to the New World Order. And please, don't misunderstand here, that is not a compliment. Okay, I want to make that really clear. He is the Pope. He's the Pope of the New World Order. The New World Order loves him. The New World Order is Antichrist. Okay. So this Pope, he's the darling of the media. They love to hear when he's speaking and saying things that are contrary to 2,000 years of Catholic teaching. So that's why this Pope is able to get away with saying and doing these things. Catholics don't know the faith. And God is, it appears, has given us a leader according to what we deserve. He's given us a leader according to what we deserve. And it goes back to the message of Fatima. The longer this goes on with people not heeding Our Lady's requests, the worse the crisis will be. The crisis will continue in the Church and subsequently the world. And the worse things will continue to get until enough Catholics heed what Our Lady of Fatima asked.
What about the consecration of Russia?
That is exactly the point. We need, until enough of the lay Catholic faith will do what the Mother of God asked at Fatima, the graces will not be given. Once we have enough of the lay Catholic faithful doing what Our Lady of Fatima asked, then God will give those graces for the Pope and the bishops to do the consecration of Russia. And don't worry about who the Pope is. Leave that up to God. Now you get calls all the time. How is the consecration ever going to get done? You know, look at the Pope, etc., etc. And don't worry about that. Leave that up to God. If we do our part, then it begins with us. If we each do our part, doing what Our Lady of Fatima asked, and leave the rest to God, He'll have the Pope in place that will do the consecration of Russia when the time is right, when the graces have been gained or the graces have been earned. In this year of the 100th anniversary of the Fatima apparitions, the Fatima Center is doing all we can to encourage people, beginning with themselves, to do the 5 things Our Lady of Fatima asked. We sent out a beautiful sanctification pledge certificate for people to sign, and it has on there the 5 things that you're promising Our Lady to do, that you'll do. It's your own personal agreement with Our Lady to do what she asked at Fatima. We're encouraging people, please, make your own promise to Our Lady, get other people to do the same things. We're offering so much literature. We've always offered so much literature. It's been estimated that over the years the Fatima Center has given away for free over 100 million pieces of literature and sacramentals for free. And so we're trying to do that same thing now. We offer the booklet on the 5 first Saturdays and other material. We offer rosaries, we offer brown scapulars, how to pray the rosary, information on the brown scapular. And this year, newly, we even printed so Catholics can learn the faith, so they can amend their lives as one of those 5 things Our Lady asked. We even printed a free catechism. It's a simple, basic Catholic catechism, but it's a start for people to learn the faith. And all these things are available at the Fatima Center. You can, first of all, by the way, the pledge, the sanctification pledge form, the promise to Our Lady, can be downloaded off our website, www.fatima.org, or you can call the Fatima Center to order information on the Message of Fatima, order information on the brown scapular, and so on. 1-800-263-8160. Many of the publications I just mentioned are already on our website that you can even download from our website as well. And so, please, if you have not yourself done the 5 things that Our Lady of Fatima asked, please, please, it's for your own good. You have everything to gain. We all have everything to gain by doing this. For our own salvation, for the salvation of our family, our friends, for all those whom we hold dear. It starts with us. If we do what Our Lady asked, and we can turn around and get other people to do the same thing. And believe me, if you're willing to do that and encourage other people, Our Lady will bring those people to you for you to teach and direct them on the right path. Over the next few days, please continue to join us in making reparation, doing extra Hail Marys, extra rosaries, offering extra sacrifices for the coming desecration of St. Peter's Basilica. By all means, say prayers that perhaps it gets stopped. You know, that would be terrific if it weren't going on. But at least let's make reparation and preparation for what is coming. Please join us. Once again, we thank you for joining us today. Please pray for the work that we are doing here. Pray for the work that the Fatima Center does for Our Lady's workers and supporters and volunteers. And we do all, of course, for the love of God, for God's glory and honor, and for the salvation of souls. Thank you.
Thank you.